What up, everybody? In BMF Season 4, Detective Bryant has moved to Atlanta with one mission in mind: taking down Meech and cutting off the head of the snake of the BMF organization. We first saw Bryant on screen at the end of Episode 1 undercover at an AA meeting going by the name Mark, where he connected with Lil Mill's father, Abe. Bryant and Abe bonded over the fact they both have dead sons, both attending AA meetings after using alcohol as a way to cope with the death of their sons. And Bryant is using Abe's pain and desire for revenge about what happened to his son to his advantage by getting information from him. In Episode 2, Bryant got the power that he needed by his side when he connected with the Red Dogs. The Red Dogs were at Techwood and mistaken him for a civilian and beat him down when he tried getting away. So now Bryant's had the full criminal experience after getting arrested in Season 3 and getting beat down by the Red Dogs in Episode 2. Then in Episode 3, Bryant got his first big break in Atlanta through his contacts back in Detroit after they sent him the stolen car that Meech gave Nicole for graduation. And at this point, they discovered 3 sets of prints in the car, one being Meech, but they couldn't identify his prints because he doesn't have a record, the other being Nicole, and the third being a guy they knew as Don Gecko. The name Duffy was used as an alias because of the fact he was wanted for murder back in Detroit. Then after doing some investigating, Bryant figured out that Meech and Duffy hang out at Platinum Palace. But when Bryant went to Platinum Palace, he didn't have any backup, and Duffy got away after he spotted Bryant. But Bryant got his second break when the stripper he saw with Duffy at Platinum Palace got arrested for turning tricks. And because of that, Bryant was able to threaten her son, and she told him what she knew about Duffy, leading to Bryant and the Red Dogs pulling up on Meech and Duffy, with Meech getting away and Duffy getting arrested. In Episode 6, Bryant was hoping to flip Duffy, holding that life sentence over his head, and even getting his father to come talk to him, trying to convince Duffy to snitch on Meech and do whatever the cops needed him to do to get a second chance. But even after talking to his father and Bryant using these type of emotional manipulation tactics against Duffy, Duffy still stood 10 toes down telling Bryant "fuck you" and that he wasn't going to snitch on his brother, leaving Bryant back at square one when it comes to taking down Meech and cutting off the head of the snake of BMF. But at the same time, losing Duffy does hurt Meech, losing his lieutenant and one of his main soldiers in Atlanta. And now Laz, Tina's boyfriend, is running the operation in Atlanta, and Meech is happy with the way he's running things, because in Episode 6, Meech told Laz that things have been on cruise control since he took over. The only problem being something that has nothing to do with Laz, and that's the fact that St. Louis was too hot and the drivers couldn't pick up the most recent shipment. Because of that, they're almost out of product right now in Atlanta, the same problem Terry's also having in Detroit. But Terry decided while they were having inventory issues, he was going to use the whip method that they learned from Ty Washington's boy Pint in Season 2. But at the end of Episode 6, Bryant was in a diner, upset that his investigation hit a dead end, pouring liquor into his coffee, keeping in mind that Bryant's been attending AA, when Lil Mill's father Abe walked into the diner and saw Bryant pouring the liquor into his coffee and asked him if it's been that kind of day. But Abe had some information that cheered Bryant up real quick. Abe's taken it upon himself to start doing police work and investigating into BMF, and had pictures of Laz for Bryant, with one particular picture making Bryant's day, and that was a picture with Laz standing outside of Meech's car talking to Meech. So now we know that Bryant's next target in Atlanta in his attempt to take down Meech is going to be Laz. And from the looks of the Episode 7 trailer, Bryant's going to make quick work of Laz, because the trailer shows Bryant talking to Officer Hardy of the Red Dogs and letting him know that he has a tip on a BMF stash house. Then it shows the Red Dogs charging into this stash house with Laz trying to run out the back and Bryant catching him and slamming him into a table. So unlike when Bryant went to the strip club alone and couldn't get Duffy, this time Bryant's going to have backup again. When the Red Dogs come in through the front, it looks like Bryant came in through the back and grabbed Laz when he tried to get away. And once Bryant gets Laz into custody, we already know his playbook, that his first move will be trying to turn Laz into an informant to help him take down Meech, leaving the question, will Laz stand 10 toes down like Duffy, Or will he fold and agree to work with Bryant like B. Mickey did in Season 2? Keep it in mind that Laz already got arrested before in Season 3, and they were trying to get him to snitch on Meech about the murder of Big Mike. At that time, Laz was only in the drunk take, so they had nothing to hold over his head to try to get him to snitch. This time, though, since he's potentially getting arrested at a stash house, there could be a lot of weight in there, and they could be holding a lot of time over his head. And if Laz does snitch on Meech, I think he could end up telling Bryant that he needs to look into the murder of a Big Mike. Keep it in mind that the Big Mike situation will most likely come back into play at some point, because Goldie had to leave town because of the fact that she was in danger from a guy named Robert Fulton with connections to the mob, because Big Mike was his top earner. And I don't think that the name Robert Fulton was mentioned for no reason. I still think he'll come back into play at some point in the storyline. But dropping the name Big Mike might not be enough for Bryant because of the fact that Laz isn't an eyewitness to the crime. And also because they've already tried taking down Meech before for Big Mike in Season 3, when they brought in a grand jury when Meech went to St. Louis to write it out, and the case was eventually thrown out. So since they've already tried taking him down for that before and it didn't work, if Bryant's able to flip Laz against Meech, there's a good chance that he would put him back on the streets as his informant, similar to how he used B. Mickey as his informant in Season 2. Bryant's goal would be for Laz to put Meech and the drugs together at the same place at the same time, or potentially even getting Laz to wear a wire to get Meech talking about drug deals. And we also know from how Bryant treated B. Mickey when he was Bryant's CI, that being a CI for Bryant isn't anything to play with. Bryant put a gun to B. Mickey's head like he was going to make it look like B. Mickey took his own life, threatening him. Then he left him in a trunk to die, and transferred his mother to a different facility when she died in the process. So I think Bryant will try to use Laz's grandmother against him in some type of way to keep him motivated. Then there's also the fact that even if Laz doesn't snitch, if he is arrested, that's going to hinder Meech's operation in Atlanta a lot, with both Duffy and Laz now taken off the board, because at this point the entire crew that Meech started out with in Atlanta in Season 3 has been completely wiped out, either by getting killed or going to prison, with Meech and Tina being the last two standing. Either though Meech still does have a few newer soldiers left in Atlanta also. So one of those guys will likely have to step in and run the day-to-day operation in Atlanta. Either that or Meech could have Tina stepping up and playing a bigger role in the day-to-day operations. And there's also the fact that it was revealed in episode 6 that Purdy survived getting shot. So because of that, we most likely haven't seen the last of Trell and his bodyguard either. Just another problem that Meech has to worry about in Atlanta, other than Bryant and the Red Dogs. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.